Welcome to this edition of Art Bites. I'm super excited to have with us our resident in-house chef, Jennifer Armstrong Hicks. And I'm so glad to be again back in this space. I'm already imagining the aromas that'll be coming forth from the amazing food we're going to be cooking.
So good. Yeah, it's already starting really good in here. So yeah.
For those who never watched this show before, we bring the two best things together. We bring two of the biggest communal acts that we do as humans, and that is art and food. So with that, we're going to have Chef Jennifer Armstrong Hicks sort of walk us through first the artwork that inspired the amazing dish we're going to make tonight. So let's kick this thing off first with artwork. So what artwork did you pull from our collection that you used for inspiration?
Oh, okay. I chose the Hassan Hajjaj Kesh Angels piece, which is a big favorite of mine. I love his work, just in general. And this in particular is just so amazing. And it's so, I love this shot. Yeah, I think it's fun. It's shot in Morocco. He is from Morocco. I think he lives and works in London now, maybe. But apparently he's done a lot of work with people he knows in Morocco. So, like, you know, a lot of the people in the images of his work are actually friends of his, which is fun. I heard an interview where he's talking about how it's great to be in his studio and all of his friends are just surrounding him on the walls. So I thought that was kind of fabulous. But the piece in general, I love the heart glasses, just so cool, so sweet. And I read too that the Kesh Angels, the Marrakesh Kesh Angels, are a lot of them actually do henna tattooing in the city, and you know, kind of as their day job. And so I like the idea of you know, making something with their hands and then obviously having beautiful tattoos on their hands too. I couldn't get that done for myself in time for this, fortunately, because that would look great, you know, on camera. But there's still time to do some artwork on ourselves, obviously. So I really thought that something Moroccan or Middle Eastern would be great to kind of pair with. And also, you know, this is Women's History Month. So I love that these Kesh Angels are pictured in this image, Middle Eastern women who are just, you know, strong and fun and, you know, they have this kind of fierce about them. So I really like. And then the dish we're going to make is called Mujadara, and there are actually a ton of different pronunciations and spellings of this word. And it's kind of considered a peasant dish, you know. It's, I mean, right, any bean rice, you know, kind of that you find around the world, kind of has that flavor to it or that edge to it. Obviously, it can be elevated with kebabs or some other kind if you want to add that to it. Cool is that it's actually vegan on it. So you can just have this as a vegan dish if you want to. So if you'd like, we can get started and kind of jump in.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just jump into this. And my vegan friends will finally stop fussing at me for I eat everything. So I'm vegan, non-vegan. So I have a dish now that I can say is specifically made with you in mind. So my friends and my peers can stop saying, Daryl, we need more dishes that speak to the vegan heartbeat of who we are. So
yeah,
let's
exactly.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's jump into it.
Well, you know what I love too? The dish, the real core components is, so you've got your rice, you've got lentils, but then the onions, caramelized onions, and some fried onions that we put on top. That is like where the richness and that umami kind of edge come from. So the thing that you really have to do is caramelize a bunch of onion first. And I started it in advance because it takes a while. It's like 20 to 30 minutes to really caramelize them to the degree that they should be for the recipe. So they should be really dark. One thing that is important to note about caramelized onions is that like sometimes as they're cooking, it creates kind of this, they call it a fond on the bottom of the pan, you know, like the kind of caramelized bits and it starts to brown on the bottom of the pan. So when it does that, if you're concerned about that burning and not kind of like getting dark enough without stopping, or you can actually add a little bit of water to the mixture, just a little bit, just like spritz, and it will kind of deglaze the pan, and it'll pull all that caramelized stuff up into the onions, and that's like what kind of continues that darkness, which is really cool. So this originally was about it was an onion, a full large onion, and now it's like cooked down to like this small amount, but it's small, but it's much, it's packed with a lot of flavor. So we are going to kind of spread that out and get the heat back up, and we're going to add a couple of things. So we're going to add a little bit of garlic, just chopped garlic, to this. And then the thing that really pushes this into like Moroccan territory is spices. So you can make this dish with none of these spices and, keep it really mild. If you have somebody who's kind of like, afraid of flavor or something. But if you're not afraid of flavor, which Moroccans are not afraid of flavor in a big way, they love some spices, then you can add this spice mix. You can actually add more to this if you want to. This contains coriander, cinnamon, allspice, and cumin. And if you want to do a couple of additional things, if you just kind of want to push it a little further, turmeric is really good to add to this, and that'll kind of make the color a little bit. And then the other addition could be some fresh ginger if you wanted ginger in there. That tends to make it like a little bit. I mean, ginger has that kind of, it's kind of spicy, but it's not spicy. It's so hard to describe.
I love ginger.
I do too. So I'm adding this garlic, and you want to get the onions like completely caramelized first, and then just stir in that garlic and let it kind of, let it just get a little fragrant, just cook down a little bit. It doesn't take long for the garlic to get incorporated. And then some things that I've done in advance are, I got some lentils going. So the lentils, you pre-cook that a little bit, and you'll see in the recipe, you essentially get these lentils, add a little bit of water, cook it for 10 minutes or so. It doesn't take long to cook lentils. That's really awesome about this. And then just set them aside. You can strain them and set them aside. Already it smells so amazing in here. I can't even. And then the other thing you want to do is rinse your rice. So I've got some jasmine rice, which is an awesome, long grain rice. And you can use brown jasmine if you want. I used regular. The brown might take a little bit more water and a little bit more time. But we are going to just use wonderful white jasmine. And so we've got the garlic kind of sauteed. We're going to add this awesome spice blend, and that's when like all the smells are going to hit the fan here in the way.
I can only imagine. I'm over here like low key salivating.
Oh my God, it smells so good.
The chocolate bomb. So for those who watched our previous episode, I enjoyed them immensely. Oh my God, they were so good. And got some not grenadine, Grand Marnier, to add a little shot of Grand Marnier.
Yes, that's the best.
Yeah, it was amazing. If you're not sure if you're watching and you don't know what we're talking about, look at our previous art bites. We have chocolate bombs that you can. I think that was our February episode. You can pull it up and follow the recipe, but it was amazing.
So yeah, those are really good. So now I've got the rice and the lentils in here, and you just want to stir that around and kind of incorporate the caramelized onion a little bit. And oh my gosh, it smells so good. And it's funny because you've got the spices in there that are kind of considered sometimes considered sweet spices, but they add like so much depth to the dish. It's amazing. So you get that in there, and you want to get like all your little grains of rice off the side of your pan. And then we're going to add the remaining cup of water. The original cup was in the lentils. So you want to add the second cup in here. And then everything's going to be kind of level with your ingredients, as you can see. And then it's super easy. You just kind of bring it to a boil, and then we're going to cover it it doesn't take long for it to come back to a boil. Then we'll cover it and set it to the side and just let it kind of simmer. Once it boils, you turn it down some so it doesn't burn. It's like making rice. And then while that's happening, we're going to do a couple of other things. So we're going to make some tahini sauce to go with it, which is super delicious and super simple, but you can use it on a whole bunch of different things. And we're going to fry some onion to put on the top. That's kind of like, it's kind of a garnish, but it's also kind of my favorite part too. So it looks like we're in good shape here. I'm going to turn that down and cover it. And then we're going to just move right over here. I'm going to reheat this oil a little bit so we can fry. One component that is nice to put in here, if you have it, we actually have a fresh bay tree. And so a bay leaf in there adds another, just another component. So you can just pop that in with the rice and lentils. So now I'm going to tip this down and we are going to make this tahini sauce. So if you haven't had tahini before, you probably have, but if you haven't, it is a sesame seed paste. And it can be found at grocery stores, but then also in Middle Eastern groceries. That obviously they're going to have that because it's an ingredient that's found in a lot of stuff, including and many other things. So this sauce is made with tahini, a quarter of a cup. I'm going to put in this, and then a little bit of lemon juice, which I've already juiced, and again, a little bit of garlic. And it's good for it to go straight into the lemon. It cuts some kind of component in the it sometimes without putting it in the lemon juice, it tends to get a little bitter. So if you put it in here and just kind of let it sit a second, it just kind of breaks something down that would normally cause that bitterness. So we're going to stir that in, and then we just whisk it straight into the tahini. And it kind of thickens up pretty quick. You can see it like really gets pasty, which is not what you want for a sauce. And then you want to add a little bit of cold, like ice water. And ultimately it's going to be probably about 3 tablespoons. Okay. And you'll see it'll kind of soften back up and turn back into the sauce that you're after. And you can always adjust the thickness of it based on what you want. A little bit more. I think Hassan Hajjaj would approve of this recipe, and definitely his Kesh girls.
We had him at the museum a few years back. Came to the museum and had a huge instill of his work, and he was actually pretty cool. He shot my photo. I have 3 photos of he shot when he was on site. So
that's amazing.
It is.
I'm so jealous, super jealous now that I know that. Having your photo taken by an artist or of you is amazing. There's
artist. I love
something so special about that. And I mean, by him, wow. I've had my portrait done for me by an artist. His name's Wes Nate, and he's a photographer. And I don't know if you remember this. If you look it up you'll see it. But he got very famous for these Scotch tape or tape, maybe not Scotch tape, portraits where when you were a kid you would like tape your face and do all that stuff.
Yes.
So he got very famous for doing a bunch of those portraits, and he came to an event that I put on, and everybody got to go and get their portrait done by him. It was hilarious.
One of the perks of working in the art world.
That's right. That's right. So I just chopped up a little bit of cilantro to add to this sauce, which, if you know about herbs and spices and stuff, coriander is cilantro. So, the coriander is derived from the same plant. So now you've got this gorgeous kind of speckly sauce that's just so simple, but so good. I'm going to add a little salt to it just to make sure all those flavors are popping out. And that's just a little bit of kosher salt. I always put salt over my shoulder. There's it's just like a superstition. I always put a little salt over my left shoulder when I use it.
I'm originally from the South, and that is a thing. I have other family members, friends who do that. So, it's part of our Southern heritage.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so I've got you back over here. I'm going to fry. This is really hot. I'm going to fry these little onion strings, and so it's just regular, sweet white or yellow onion, but it's kind of thin. It's pretty thin because you want them to fry pretty fast and dark.
Nice.
That's always dramatic. Very hot. Be careful when you add anything to hot oil. You don't want to hurt yourself.
Safety.
And if you have, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said safety first.
Yes, safety first. If you have something like this is called a spider. If you have a spider, that's great to use to remove the onion from the oil. If not, you could use a slotted spoon, and that would be fine. It's nice to be able to kind of get them completely out of the oil. And then I've got a little paper towel in a dish over here that we will put them in to kind of drain afterwards. So hopefully, you shouldn't take the lid off of your rice to look. You should always just let it do its thing. But I really want to look in there and check and see how it's going. So I'm going to have to really fight that urge. But this recipe, it takes a little time just because you have to do the onions as steps, but you can do a lot at one time if you want to. And it's just such a yummy thing to have as a side dish or a complete meal, on its own if you want. I'm eating it with a side of hummus and some cucumber salad and things like that. Maybe some, this yummy tahini sauce. But you could certainly add lots more things to it if you wanted. So hopefully you can see where we are. They're starting to get done, but we want them to be a little bit further. Almost there. All right. So this is about ready. Okay. So nice and fried, golden brown, GB&D, as we say, golden brown and delicious. Mm-hmm. So they're GB&D. Yeah, any kind of onion sort of thing. My husband and I were just talking about a dish called onion pakoras. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Oh. They're delicious. All right. So we've got our sauce. And through the magic of the culinary arts, you will see that we have a yummy dish. And there you go. So you can kind of see, I chopped up a little bit of parsley on top too. And you could do cilantro if you prefer cilantro on it, and you've already got that in your sauce. But you get the caramelized onions on there, the wonderful onions that are all within. And I just think it's a cool dish. It's really delicious, and it does now with all those wonderful scents and spices. It has the feel of Marrakesh. Yes, so
yes, I would totally agree. It looks delicious. I'm gonna plan a trip. I've made up my mind. I'm planning a trip.
Wait, to Morocco or down here to where
to Carolina? I'm coming down to you. I'm like, although I should do both, because once the world opens back up, in the short time frame or the short time line of now, Carolina, but definitely when the world opens back up, Morocco.
Will you swing by and pick me up? And then we'll go to Marrakesh. Yeah.
Yes.
We've got it figured out.
Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much. For those who are chefs, hopefully you were inspired and you want to try to execute this recipe at home on your own. The recipe can be found on our site at www.newarkmuseumart.org. And make sure you're following us on our social media platforms, as this, along with many other episodes of Art Bites, we air them at least once a month. You'll be able to catch all the delicious creations that our chef, Jennifer Armstrong Hicks, brings to the table, inspired by the works of art we have in our collection. So you get a little bit of history, a little art, and a whole lot of love in the
Yes.
culinary field. So
The special ingredient.
yes, hey, that it makes everything great.
Yes.
So thank you again for joining us, Jennifer. Thank you, you and audience at home. The next we come to you, we hope to maybe be coming to you live. So be on the lookout for. We are looking to do the show live on Facebook. So for those who always miss when we do our video drops, no worries, we got you covered. We'll be doing a live art bites in our next month, in our upcoming month in April. Fingers crossed. So with that being said, again, thank you, Jen. I hope you have an amazing rest of the week, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.